the Starman. He's conducting me right now. In the vision transfixed, in the room created bliss, spiraling, so inspiring. Galaxy Starman, Galaxy Starman. You opened our eyes wide. Galaxy Starman, Galaxy Starman. Long live, voice so sharp. Communication with a Starman.
Hello there and welcome to an extremely special Oversoul One Voice We Are One podcast. We are going to stream audio through Spotify. I'm pointing over to another screen, and video through YouTube. And the reason that this is an extremely special podcast, you cannot begin a podcast on the Spotify version with Starman, David Bowie, without it being something special. We're building up to the story, the journey of a phenomenal song. If you like, paranormal song, a song from beyond. Galaxy Starman, released under the name Oversoul and the Architects of Passion, released January the 6th, 2023. David Robert Jones, otherwise known as David Bowie, or Bowie if you prefer, I'm sticking to Bowie myself, was born January the 8th, 1947. And what an incredible creative life was lived. Even if you don't particularly like Bowie's music, you cannot deny the influence, the impact of this being, this entity, this creative innovator, pioneer. We'll come back to that a little more in a moment. David Bowie left this planet as a human being on January the 10th, 2016. So can you see already the release of this phenomenal song, Galaxy Starman, under the name Oversoul and the Architects of Passion, has coincided, if you want to use that phrase, because none of this was planned, with these pivotal dates. The dash between, if you like, as some people say, between that birth date and the date of Bowie's death, the dash between, my goodness me, what an incredible life, what an incredible creative life. Of course, impacted on so many, including those within the creative world, including those of phenomenal influence. Now, I have experienced very much through this creative process, and I'll be sharing more in a moment, the presence of Bowie within the composition of Galaxy Starman. I've also in the past experienced the presence of John Lennon with the creation, particularly of the song, How to Make Your Own Society. Now, when you think about these things, I don't take this lightly. I really don't. I'm not here to promote ghosts exist, spirits exist. I'm not even here to promote God exists. What I am here to share is the experience. As Bruce Lee once said, research your own experience. All I can do is tell you and share with you what happened. But it's no coincidence that Lennon and Bowie also created together. And Lennon referred to himself as feeling, in some ways, quite inadequate. He felt he didn't have a musical vocabulary to match Elton John, Bowie, George Harrison, for example. We're actually going to play some audio from John Lennon in a moment. Bowie himself apparently said on one occasion that Bowie didn't care for the sound of his own voice. How incredible to think of people who are legends talking about themselves in terms of not really actually feeling particularly adequate about themselves in comparison to others. Bowie didn't particularly like his own voice, apparently. So you can see already. So I'm going to share the audio in a moment because it's fascinating to hear John Lennon talk about Bowie. Then what we're going to do, we're going to have another song. Remember, if you're a Spotify user, you will get to hear 30 seconds. If you're a free Spotify user, you will get to hear 30 seconds of the tracks played this evening. If you're a premium user, my goodness me, you're in for an incredible treat because you will hear the full plays of the tracks. And we are building towards the play of this amazing song, Galaxy Starman, from Oversoul and the Architects of Passion. Meantime, let's listen to John Lennon talking about his experience in the studio with Bowie, and we'll be back in a moment.
No, just shyness, insecurity, and I couldn't go in a session and play like George plays. You know, I'm limited vocabulary on the guitar and the piano. So what could I do going in with Cream or whatever they were doing those days? So I never hung out in the clubs playing. I hung out in the discos boogieing and drinking and that, but I never did that bit. And then suddenly I was working with Elton, and then Bowie was around and we were talking and that, and he'd say, come down, and I found myself doing that. So he's fiddling around, he writes them in the studio. Now he goes in about 4 words and a few guys and starts laying down this stuff. And he has virtually nothing, he's making it up in the studio.
You know, to realise those that you revere, those that you hold as, you know, incredible creators, innovators, pioneers, to express themselves in that way. To hear John Lennon, the first time I heard that interview, I was absolutely blown away by his expression of humility in comparison to Bowie, and Bowie's own expression of his voice. You know, this is just incredible. We tend to look at individuals, especially those that are prominent and dominant within a creative realm, as not having a shred of, you know, lack or you know, finding confidence difficult. But that's not the case, of course. So we're going to now begin to shed more light on this, I have to say it again, phenomenal, paranormal journey. I think I've said this already. I'm not here to convince you of the existence of ghosts, spirits, God, divine, anything like that. But I cannot and will not refuse to share what is an experience that I'm not even too sure in the midst of it I'm going to be able to recollect everything that happened, but I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to do it with some help, because the song Galaxy Starman began from a conversation. Most songs do. And there's another message to share. Never underestimate the power of what can even be seen to be a casual conversation. As a songwriter, as somebody who craves inspiration, and other songwriters will recognize this, you're so grateful for the opportunity that you have to receive transmissions in a variety of forms. And the conversation that took place, really, I would say, began in June of 2022, so last year, so in the summer of last year. And I had an interview with an incredible lady who I've actually collaborated with on another phenomenal song, The Jeweled Chalice. And we did an interview together which was under the title of Meet the Alchemists. And I was very grateful for that, to actually be considered within the medium that I work in as an alchemist. And the more I thought about this, the more I thought, of course, that's what it is. You're bringing together a number of different component parts and elements, mixing all of those together in, more often than not, a very natural way to create and transmute a form of something that didn't previously exist in that form. So effectively, that's alchemy. And we had a discussion about the alchemy, if you like, of creativity, of songwriting, and what I was looking to achieve through that. And this was a profound moment for me personally, because Jules identified what it was that my aim, my desire, my motivation was, my why, my reason. Jules Williams identified it. So rather than me walking all over that now, let's listen to a snippet of that interview recorded June 20th, I think it was aired, 2022. Meet the Alchemist. Listen to how Jules describes me bringing this spiritually creative energy into popular culture.
What you're doing, you're opening the door to inclusivity, because you're mentioning people like Prince and David Bowie, and providing an element of the energy of the popular culture that is more inviting to a wider range of people who possibly wouldn't look at Buddhist chants or go into a sound bath or a gong bath or get a Tibetan bowl and bring those kind of energies. But if somebody had that energy coming from a popular culture focus, like for me, you do, because when I hear your music, it's incredibly current for me. It is popular culture based. For me, it gives a wider aperture for people to think, well, that I can connect to, whereas they wouldn't be able to connect to the ancient.
That is absolutely incredible, because genuinely, I'm in the midst of this experience doing what I'm doing. I do understand that and accept that, but that I can genuinely say is not a contrived plan. I am incredibly grateful to Jules for that acknowledgement. It's not permission. To some degree, it's not even acknowledgement in the fact that there's a need for it. I am truly grateful for the creative messages I receive and the opportunity to transmit those at the stage of this human experience that I'm at. But there was a key moment there, very much so, which is why I've shared it. Because the likes of Bowie, the likes of Prince, because there's an energy in all music and in all creativity, but some more than others. Some it is from places that I don't even claim to try to define. That's not what this is about. Of course, I value and recognize the creative conduit of myself. I'm not trying to diminish that or deflect that or reflect that elsewhere. But I am genuinely, in humility, sharing that more often than not, most of the times that I'm receiving the creative messages even I don't quite know what's happening. And David Bowie was very much an incredible embodiment proponent of that way of being creative. We're going to go on into some historical moments in a moment to shed even more light on that. But I want to share before that the next step. What happened next? So this was June, as I've already shared, of last year. I'm just going to take a sip of water. That's better. So we're now going to fast forward, I think, October of last year, 2022. I'd begun to have some conscious coaching sessions with Jules Williams. And Jules is coaching in a way that's not your stereotypical corporate way of coaching. Really bringing in some phenomenal modalities and ways of helping others to connect with the fuller, higher version of themselves. And I'll put links in the description where you can connect with Jules as well. And Jules was working, or is working, with Jan Booth. And they were working on what's referred to, I'm not claiming to be an expert, as galactic circles. The number 12, very important in that. And during one of the coaching sessions with Jules, she was talking to me about a conductor, a Dalite, and this energy. And she said the phrase, could seem to be controversial. I don't personally think so. But anyway, I'll share it with you as Jules shared it, which is this energy force, this energy source, Starlight, is effectively like David Bowie on speed. Now, when she was talking about this and like the original Starman, my creative juices and my creative energy just was so peaked and so sparked by this conversation. And again, rather than me treading all over that, let's hear a recent recording that myself and Jules did, where we revisited that conversation in, I think it was October, which led to the beginning of the creation of the song Galaxy Starman. The conversation you and I had a few months ago, shall we say, I can't remember exactly. So I don't know whether it was October time, I can't remember. And we had a coaching session. We had a coaching session. I've had a series of coaching times with you. I've received, I'm not going into negative energy, I've received coaching in the past. And the way you share what you do, not a cult, not looking for, cult followers to the coaching center of, Jules Williams and the Jewel Chalice. You do what you do in a way that creates the opportunity for others to then create. So they're not mini yous, and I was drawn to a post you shared, and we've worked creatively, but benefited from the way you open up others and open them up to the opportunity of them. You're not controlling the coaching experience. So as much as you can, remind me, because we had a conversation around this energy force, and as a creator, I'm always interested in new and different, in understanding, learning, experiencing. Can you tell me a bit about the energy force that you shared with me at the time? And then I'll share a little bit about how that led to the inspiration of what, for me, in experience, is one of the most phenomenal songs I've ever written, because it's gone on to so much more. Can you remember?
Yes, I can.
Yeah.
And we were talking about how we first met, and I travelled to a networking event, and my companion at the time was Jan Booth, who is a galactic channeler. She's a galactic receiver and works with art and very much alternative health giving modalities. And Jan was gifted, I'll try to make this short. Jan was gifted with this amazing download of a healing modality that was so huge. She was told in a guidance that she would need a collaborator, that she would meet, or she'd already met them, and my name came to her. So Jan and I have been collaborating, and I've been adding my little bits to support Jan going through her journey, with bringing through 12 different galactic energies, going from a place of beginning your healing journey right up to becoming, in a galactic fashion, using galactic activations and healing. There are 12 elements to it. Each of those 12 elements relates loosely to a person's birth month, similar to astrology, but not the same. It also relates to, they can relate to it through an oracle card. So you could be choosing a different energy on a different day. But the first connection to align people to which spiral they would be connected to firstly is the birth month. And Jan is under spiral 9. And it turned out that I'm under spiral 9. And it turned out when I met you, Ray, you said to me, well, it appears that I'm under spiral 9.
Yeah.
So we realised there are 3 connections there for spiral 9. And I then tried to explain to you, Ray,
Yeah.
my first connection, because I can channel a bit too. I channeled my own connection with the Spiral 9. And he came through to me with a particular energy that I described to you, Ray, as David Bowie on speed.
Yeah.
Because there was no other way I could think of him.
And at the time, sorry to interrupt you, Jules, at the time, I think, didn't you use the term conductor?
Yes. Also, he is the conductor of all the 12 spirals. And in the modality, all the people who are learning to offer this modality to people within groups of circles of supporters, each of the people that hold that space are known in the modality as a conductor of the circle. So it's circles within circles, spirals within spirals. Darley, like this character who is Spiral 9, is much more than a character. He is a phenomenon. They all are phenomenal. Darley Light has a special place in my heart because he just delights me so much.
Mm.
And he's just so empowering, really is. And he's my guy. So
when I go back to the conversation, okay, I didn't write anything down. I very rarely do. Sometimes I make notes in a phone if I'm communicating with somebody. The Jewel Chalice is the same, by the way. So your empowerment anthem, I didn't kind of, after a conversation with you, right, I must use this keyword or that keyword. It doesn't work that way. So I'm going to say the title now. Okay, it's one of those weird things when you're releasing music. It's a weird thing. Oh, sorry, just went batteries down a bit there. So it's a weird thing because you're sitting on what you know. You've written the song. You're going to release the song. So it's like having a child and not presenting the child to the world, not showing people the child. It's like, whoa. So today, at time of recording, December 28th, 2022, tomorrow is my birthday. I know it's a week after yours.
Yes.
Okay. And we are both Capricorn.
Yeah.
I'm going to go into the full story when I do a podcast a week this coming weekend.
Yeah.
And basically things that are in the song that I even don't recollect from the conversation. In a room, creative bliss. So the energy I felt when I opened to the intuition, inspiration, Darley Light, is that correct? Am I saying that correctly?
It's open to interpretation.
Okay.
It's a sound rather than a spelling.
Yeah.
So his sound is Darlight.
Darlight.
Like daylight, but Darlight.
Right, got you.
Spelling of it makes it look like it's Darley Light.
So now for me, the image of Bowie from the conversation, the Starman. Galaxy Starman.
Yeah.
And one of the lines is, he's conducting me right now. And I have felt that energy since that conversation several times. And through the creative process of the song, because it's more tangibly linked to a specific energy, and maybe you could say an individual, David Bowie representing this energy as a physical manifestation, if you like. You know, David Bowie on speed, as you said. Yeah. That has become it's an experience. It's more than a song.
Yes.
It's an experience because throughout that, when I've done the vocal, when I've made my journey back from the recording studio, I felt the presence. I've not just sat down and thought, do you know what? I'm going to write a David Bowie tribute song. David Bowie, the energy and this starlight energy is in the song. So it's wrong of me to release that when it becomes released and not acknowledge yourself and Jan.
I think it's because evidence.
That's opened, exactly.
It's evidence that the modality itself, this is perfect, that this has come to be when viewed from the galactic perspective. This is what the spirals want, is their energy to come out. And the people who can hear and the people who can see it will be the receptors and the transmitters of that energy. So it's activated through me, through Jam, through me. Speaking to you, it's activated into you. We cannot stop this. If this is going to come out, which we totally believe how powerful it is, this modality, it will come out. And sometimes, in some ways, it will come out because Dali Light is so powerful, he will not be stopped. If he wants to come out in a certain way, he wanted to come out through you. He wanted that almost David Bowie connection, because people get it. People can relate to David Bowie and can understand the energy that I'm trying to describe from a galactic perspective. Then it makes it inclusive, so people can
completely
get it. They don't feel excluded because it's galactic and, oh, this is only for woo-woos.
Completely. As you said to me once, bringing into popular culture
Absolutely.
that creative energy, and that was another moment that kind of opened me to more. And David Bowie, whilst I don't claim to be a fan, an expert, a fanatic, if you like, definitely creatively had an influence on me. Oversoul and the Architects of Passion, some of the songs that I've played to individuals that are actually going to be released very soon as well. People have likened the sound of some of the songs to Bowie. Now, thank you. That's amazing. That's incredible. Wait until you hear Galaxy Starman. So I'm now going to move through as much as I can, capturing some of the incredible moments. We've already done that. Original conversation with Jules Williams in June of last year. Further conversation in October of last year. And that really, this Dalite conversation, this galactic energy conversation, led to me beginning to write the song Galaxy Starman. The chord progression was not a typical chord progression I've used before. Also, the entire creative process. Normally, I'm quite fast at creating. I tend to write very quickly. This drew out over a few weeks, and it was a song that I added parts to. I actually started, which I'm not somebody who tends to go away and do phenomenal amounts of research, because I'm creating so much and I'm doing so many other things in my life. I'm not somebody who sits and inordinately reads. I read quite an amount, but I don't go off and research into loads of background. But I wanted to start finding out a little bit more about Bowie, because I was feeling this real energy. And as I was developing the song, as I'm singing it, I wasn't trying to do this as, definitely not as a parody of Bowie. If anything, a pastiche, a tribute, a commemoration. But I wasn't trying to mimic. I was singing this song with the energy that I felt in this song. And I felt Bowie as I'm recording initial vocals to the song. Then I start looking into some videos, YouTube videos, wonderful place to find information. And I started to discover some incredible things. For example, I couldn't remember what was Bowie's birth date. What was the date of his death? I couldn't remember what these dates were. I then realised January the 8th, 1947, David Bowie was a Capricorn. So am I. 29th of the 12th, 1965 is my birth date. So just that, I thought, wow, there's a coincidence, if you like. I then watched an interview The interviewer's name, I'm going to have to check my notes here, Kerry O'Brien, in 2004. And part of that recording of the interview is actually in the song, because Bowie refers to himself as once being a quiet little Capricorn boy. And I thought, wow, that describes how I felt in my life. Painfully shy is the phrase. At times, I still experience shyness. It's part of my nature, part of my personality. So to hear David Bowie say he once was a quiet little Capricorn boy, I think, wow, that's incredible. And that formed a line in the song. Creating the video, which will be released, a premiere, an exclusive, a video celebrating, excuse me for a moment. The emotion is incredible. Celebrating, commemorating the life of the phenomenon, David Bowie. I then did further research because I wanted to create a video that had pieces of Bowie's life to go with the song Galaxy Starman as a tribute. Then I discovered the first video, music video, that Bowie released. And again, I'm going to check my notes for information here. A song called When I'm 5. Okay? The song was written in 1968. So I would have been about 3 at the time. Okay? It's so difficult to keep up with the train of thought of this incredible journey. So I then saw this as the first video, and there's Bowie. Remember, the song's been written now. I'm now starting to think about creating a video to go along with it. And of course, this moment that is in the song, Once a Quiet Little Capricorn Boy, appears in the interview from 2004. Also, when I did the video, I wanted to begin with Bowie's first music video, and that was this song, When I'm 5, which was released in 1969, the video. Here's where it gets absolutely incredible. I'm going to read some of the lyrics from the song, When I'm 5, written by David Bowie. Here are some of the lyrics. Yesterday was a horrid day, 'cause Raymond kicked my shin. And Mummy says if I am good, she'll let me go to school in August. When I read the lyrics, when I chose a piece from the video, because there's Bowie in the video and there's a birthday cake. So I'm thinking all of this building up towards January the 8th, 2023, the anniversary of the birth date of David Bowie. I'm thinking that would be a perfect beginning to this video that will accompany the song Galaxy Starman. And there, lo and behold, in the song is my first given name, Raymond. I don't even quite know what to say about that. That's not contrived. That's not planned. If I could plan all of that, my goodness me, that would be an incredible power. I think there's phenomenal alignment in this, but I don't claim to have scripted this entire process. These are things that have happened. So I'm trying to think where to go next. An incredible moment as I'm creating the video. Another connection, and of course I knew this previously already. Bowie had a link to a place that I lived in for many, many years, and I will be returning to very soon, Aylesbury, a music venue called Friars. And actually there was a statue erected to celebrate the connection of Bowie to Aylesbury. In 2018, there's a statue of Bowie in Market Square, Aylesbury. I'm going to take another sip of water. I hope this is coming across as I'm intending. It's amazing. So Bowie performed at Friars. Bowie performed at Friars in September 1971. To some degree, it was a little bit of a gamble from the individuals who owned and managed this music venue, Friars. My goodness me, it was a success, to say the least. And Bowie was invited to perform again in Friars in 1972. At that event, at that live performance in 1972, Roger Taylor and Freddie Mercury from Queen were there. And I read a piece which was actually from the Bucks Herald, a local newspaper to Aylesbury, that described Roger Taylor recounting this experience of driving to this little place called Aylesbury and going round the roundabouts in a Mini, that the lights weren't working particularly well. And Freddie Mercury being with him, I think using the term darling, and saying, you know, I don't think we're going to make it, darling. They were there for this second performance at Friars by David Bowie. To celebrate, to commemorate this amazing song, Galaxy Starman, I will be performing an exclusive live performance at the Queen's Park Arts Centre, Aylesbury. My cheeks are aching through smiling at the thought, at the Queen's Park Arts Centre, Aylesbury, February the 11th. And of course, I'm going to be doing a live performance of Galaxy Starman. I'm actually planning to be in the local area towards the end of this month of January 2023. Of course, I'm going to take some photographs with the statue. I'm going to absorb the energy around that area and contemplate and deeply think about the connections that have appeared so many times during this amazing song. And before we play, before we give a premiere through this means, before the video is released this coming Sunday, January the 8th, 2023, which would have been the 76th birthday of David Bowie, I'm going to conclude with an experience of spirit that I'm not trying to justify existence of ghosts, existence of spirits, existence of God, angels. I'm not doing that. I'm sharing with you what happened. When I'd completed the song Galaxy Starman in the studio with Mark Walker, incredible guitarist, and we had recorded the song, and I usually, when I'm returning back home to Blackpool, I listen to the songs in the car. Most songwriters, most musicians would appreciate that. You want to get a different sound. You want to hear the song coming through the speakers that are different. You've heard it all day in the studio, and now you want to get a different vibe. So I often do that in the car on the way home. It's something I've done many times before. As I'm listening to Galaxy Starman in the car on the return journey back to Blackpool, I begin to hear whistling, melodic whistling, totally melodic whistling. It wasn't something in the car. Some people, you can describe that how you want. I'm recounting what I heard. Of course, I turned to the seat next to me. The seat next to me was empty, physically. I looked in the mirror to look into the back seats. Nobody was in the back of the car, physically. Yet I continued to hear this whistling along with the song. I don't whistle personally myself. I admire people that can whistle. I don't. And there was the melodic whistling to Galaxy Starman. And I felt in that moment, this was an approval, an acknowledgement, an acceptance of me using the creative means that comes through me, the conduit of me, to share this incredible song, Galaxy Starman. And I know what melody sounds like. I hear tunes going through my head. That's how I create. I receive words in my mind. I know what the thought of a melody sounds like. This was not that. This was a tangible, factual, actual, evidence-based, experienced whistling. This song, whatever you think of it, whether you like it or not, there's nothing I can do about that. Everybody has their own personal choice. But the one thing I'm hoping that I've captured in sharing this story is this is a song that is from beyond. And the concurrence, the correspondence, the correlating, the so-called coincidences of Galaxy Starman are beyond me. So we celebrate, we remember the life of David Robert Jones, David Bowie. And I am grateful to receive. I am grateful to be inspired and to share with you Galaxy Starman, Oversoul and the Architects of Passion. Remember, we will be Queen's Park Arts Centre, February the 11th, 2023. If you're in the area, book your tickets now. Come and join us. It's going to be an incredible evening. Also, this Sunday, January the 8th, 2023, the 76th birthday anniversary of the late, great David Bowie, there will be a video shared through the YouTube channel Oversoul Truth Music. Don't miss it. Don't miss it, because it's amazing. It's incredible. I'm looking forward to even more creativity. Wonderful to be with you. Let's now listen to Galaxy Starman, Oversoul and the Architects of Passion. Long live Galaxy Starman.
5, 4, Galaxy Starman. 3, 2, 1. Connecting with a starman. He's conducting me right now. In the vision transfixed, in the room created bliss, spiraling, so inspiring. Galaxy Starman, Galaxy Starman. You opened our eyes wide. Galaxy Starman.